There's no way to go after Hamas without civilian casualties for the reasons you've laid out. They use humans as shields.
Everyone criticizes the Israelis for all this, much as one could have criticized the Americans and the coalition in Iraq for what was done in Mosul and other Iraqi cities, and also Raqqa in Syria, which left incredible devastation, almost beyond belief. I remember we covered that, and the drone footage from above those cities was even worse looking than what we see in Gaza. I share the despair over what's going on the ground in Gaza, and I talk to people there, and it's just heartbreaking. However, I've yet to hear a plausible idea about how it can be avoided. And as I say, it wasn't in the case of the war against Islamic State. Look, we have here, first of all, above and beyond everything else, a heartbreaking situation where I would certainly urge all sides, Israel, Egypt, the U.S. and the West, to whatever extent they can influence things, to take into account the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. I really would. But on the other hand, we have a genuine clash of narratives. I mean, from the Israeli side, what they endured on October 7th with the butchery, butchery is the right word, of 1,400 people, families and babies and elderly people, that just ended the discussion. And they have to get rid of Hamas, I think, pretty much at any price. From the Palestinian side, what I'm basically hearing is a continuation of the previous narrative, which is at loggerheads with the one I described before, that this is all about a 70, 100-year war and Israeli retaliation and total oppression. The situation didn't start on October 7th, which suggests that there was a reason for the massacre. I don't know how you bring these two narratives together. I think the only hope we can conceive of is for the future, where everyone who has an influence should hope that rationality and humanity and decency prevail on all sides.
And on that point, you say it is time for new ideas in the Middle East, and you recently wrote, "Everything that was tried has been a litany of failure." What do you believe right now is the least bad option?
Putting aside the cost of it, I do assess that Hamas must be defeated in Gaza, primarily for the Gazan people. Almost 2.5 million people have had to live under this insanity for 16 years, where having a beer will land you in jail and being gay will get you killed. And every couple of years, they poke a much bigger bear in the eye and have this happen. So Hamas has to go, and I think what follows ultimately will be Palestinian control run by the Palestinian Authority, and I hope they one day get independence in a state, not just autonomy. And I do suspect it will require some form of international involvement, probably a multinational force, to help the Palestinians pacify Gaza, or at least keep the peace, and perhaps an Arab League force as well, although I know Egypt doesn't want to be involved.
Real quick, I want to get your thoughts. I have about 30 seconds left. Dozens of people entered the Rafah crossing from Gaza to Egypt. What does that diplomatic breakthrough mean at this point?
It means a lot. I mentioned before that Egypt does not want to be involved. It's good to see that humanity is prevailing on the Egyptian side as well. And even though they certainly don't want to be the recipients of hundreds of thousands of refugees that become permanent in the already combustible region of North Sinai, they're letting in injured people. About 100 today, and they're letting in about, I believe, 500 foreigners and dual nationals, and that's a start. And that's a start because, I mean, forcing foreigners to be stuck in Gaza in this outrageous situation is clearly not a reasonable way forward.
Yeah, it is a start. Dan Perry, as always, thank you.